Hey guys, Decav13 here, and welcome back to some more Let's Play Fate Grand Order. Alright, let's start off with section 14, Hidden Research. Archer and Caster. I must have bring a Berserker. Yeah, there we go. That'll work. Let's see, Archer and Caster. Might as well bring a Lance. I'll bring Karna. Why not, right? I don't really need Kiara in here. Just throw on Ibaraki. I'll give her... Where is it? Oh. I just want to have one leveled up on this account. I really don't, huh? Oh well. You know what? I think better than projection for waiver. Just give him something for support. Honestly, I think that might be better. Yeah, that should be good. You must be Mr. John, and she is Miss Kirillite. She is the servant Genjo Sanzo. He is the servant Taura Tota. And that is... Well, well, what a surprise. A Knight of the Round Table is also among you. Wonderful to meet you, Sir Bedivere. As we share homeland, it's hard not to feel a certain familiarity with you already. How did you know everyone's true name? Why? Elementary, my dear friends. There it is, that famous line of his. This man is the real Mr. Holmes. You and I have already made contact. Before we met face to face, we met through information. Through information? In London, you managed to safely acquire the information I left at the Mages Association, right? Oh, so that was him. It was just paperwork, but it must have been worth £1,000 to you at the time. I gathered only the necessary information and arranged it so it'd be easy to read. At that point, you must have accepted me as a collaborator in the shadows. Wasn't Andersen saying something about... Yes, he said someone had organized the information before he looked it up. So that was your doing, Mr. Holmes? Yes. Had I made it too easy to understand, Mercury would have noticed. I arranged it so that it would only make sense when a wise person with a true purpose searched for it. You needed to know it in order to solve this murder case, and not just be a passive bystander. Murder case? Yes, it's a murder case, and one on a scale I've never experienced before. The complete murder of the primates by means of the incineration of humanity. Yes, indeed, a mythological murder case. Obviously, I'd appear. John? Lady Mash? I hate to interrupt, but... Who is he? Holmes. I don't remember a knight by that name. How sad. It's true that I never attained knighthood. The person who recorded my efforts, however, did. So the person who recorded your achievements was a knight? Milady? Yes, Sir Bedivere. Mr. Holmes is the most famous detective in the world. His class is probably Caster, right? He is one of the true forefathers of all detectives. Oh, if only the Monitor was alive, the Doctor would have been overjoyed. And I am especially moved as well. Sherlock Holmes was real. In other words, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's novels were biographies by Dr. Watson. Watson's side job. If it makes an innocent girl so openly happy, then our work was well worth it. But Miss Kirillite, my true identity, my essence, is slightly different from what you may think. And sad, but that is not the purpose of our gathering here today. I cannot yet accept your case, Mr. John. Oh, you can't? Mr. Holmes, you appeared in person, without even a disguise, so I assumed... What a good fan! You're very aware of my personality. Phew. I would very much like to cooperate too, but there's a case I must solve first. Sir Babbage asked me to do so. He only had a little bit of reason left in him. Just a speck. But it's like a glittering star. It is in exchange for that. Until that case is closed, I cannot make ties with Chaldea. That is not a vital problem. I'll leave the battle to you heroes. I am a detective. I have no interest in justice or honor. I just solve mysteries. That is my duty. It's exactly the Holmes I imagined. What sort of mysteries do you mean? We can talk about that next. After all, it seems our journey will be a long one. You'll help John but won't join us, is that right? Yes. I came to this institute in search of knowledge. The old man of the mountain must have talked about needing to know everything, right? In that case, you should head for the central area of this institute. I too have business there. It is far from here, about half a mile underground. The path twists and folds over itself, much like a labyrinth. I'll show you the way there, and you eliminate the traps with your strength. It's quite the efficient collaboration. Now, let's hurry. Infinite knowledge awaits us. Good old Sherlock Holmes. We seem to have ended up teaming with Mr. Holmes. Are you sure about this, John? Our objectives are the same. Foe! 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 I see. I suppose I've never really been good with people like him. He reminds me of Merlin. Master, a magical energy response. Something's coming. It's the same as in London. It's an autonomous magical familiar. It seems the defense mechanisms are still active. I was right to wait for your arrival. My existence is currently in flux. There's no way I can fight. I'm counting on your success. So that's why. It's because he can't fight. That's why he's not joining us. Just give me 1 second. I'll be right there. Just gotta edit this episode Persona 5 Royal real quick. Alright. Okay, so we got some casters first. Oh, cool. Yes, please crit her. I didn't need Raiko around anyway. There's his arts card. Yeah, good. Get a fucking 90 on that shit. I really want to get Karna's NP charged up. What I should do. I just realized that one on the end only has 4 charge instead of 5 like a normal caster. That's kind of weird. Let's see. Oh, I thought that would do it. Don't direct it. Don't fucking... You motherfuckers! Of course they just had to fucking hard target her. You fucking assholes. Ugh. Okay, like, fucking stop hard targeting my berserkers, you pieces of shit. Stupid fucking books. It's only a single one. Well, we can do this pretty easily anyway. I really should level him up. Make him more useful. Oh shit, we got a gear. I'm happy with that. Actually, I think I have plenty of gears on this account now. I remember when I used to worry about having gears. For some reason, I don't really need much of them anymore. What's the Atlas Institute, you ask? An excellent question, Mr. John. It is an institute of alchemists built in the Atlas Mountains of Egypt. It's also known as the Titan's Pit. It's one of the 3 branches of the Mages Association, dealing with accumulation and measurement. Their alchemy is not at all like alchemy as you may know it, the kind that became mainstream in the Middle Ages. They are the progenitors of magecraft, focused on investigating the principles of the world. While they are certainly mages, I understand that their magical circuits are rather paltry. Consequently, they do not rely on magical energy to learn the mysteries of the world, instead using a great number of tools. In a way, these tools evolved similarly to scientific progress. They treated pseudo-spiritrons, souls that could be observed and manipulated. This led to homunculi, life forms that possess magical circuits. We have no need to become the strongest. We simply have to create the strongest tool. That was their motto. True to their words, they created many weapons. In the world of magecraft, they are called the 7 Taboos. The Atlas Institute created 7 weapons capable of destroying the world. Realizing that they had reached their limits, they sealed them away. There are still many theories about why they decided to build such weapons in the first place. The director of the Atlas Institute was given the title Atlasia. I saw a wall plate on the way here. It said Zepia Eltnum Atlasia. He was likely the last director. There seems to have been a successor designated, but their name wasn't recorded. The directors of this institute would always go mad. As a result, they created forbidden weapons that would destroy the world. It's also possible they would try to prevent the destruction of the world, fail in the progress, and then go mad as a result. Regardless, this place is a storehouse of mystic codes unparalleled anywhere else on Earth. Although in reality it's more like a disposal site. The alchemists of this institute would constantly invent things. They were treated as failed creations, and a mountain of terrible weapons accumulated. We're headed to the center of that. What do you think? Do you understand my summary of the Atlas Institute? Why is it called the Titan's Pit? Do you know the Titan who held up the world in Greek mythology? His name was Atlas. The name may have been influenced by his story. I've also heard that it was called the Atlas Institute because it's in the Atlas Mountains. A simple reason for naming it so. The origin of alchemy at the Atlas Institute is tied with the progenitor of magecraft in Egyptian mythology, the goddess Isis. That connection may be why the Institute appeared in the territory of Egypt in this singularity. They fled underground to study magecraft. No wonder I had never heard of this group of mages. However, I don't see any students. Did the Atlas Institute fall to ruin prior to this time? No. As far as I've been able to deduce, the Atlas Institute was active from the BC era up to 2018 AD. If there aren't any people here, then... No, I shouldn't speak based on assumptions. We'll know for certain once we reach the center. An underground academy filled with mysteries. A research facility created with unknown techniques. Its true identity and ideal shelter. Is its true identity an ideal shelter? Or merely an enormous tomb? Let us hold hope in our hearts, and press forward to see the truth. Alright, this one's all archers. Yes. I don't even need to think about it. Still, the layout of this place is rather complicated. It's more of a maze than an academic institute. The path splits in two as we descend, but if you look behind you, it's actually three. It's built like an optical illusion. It's as though... Indeed. It's built to confuse those trying to leave. Entering is simple, but exiting is forbidden. It's designed to protect against theft. That would be the opposite, right? So why did they build it this way? Because they were more fearful of people leaving than entering. The Atlas Institute was a group of geniuses. They immersed themselves in various research, in their own independent workshops. There were no taboos here. One would not be rebuked for creating any weapon, no matter how inhumane. However, there was one condition. What was created here could never be brought outside. That was the great principle of the Atlas Institute. For over 2,000 years, they stubbornly kept to this rule. An exception would be the 7 contracts created when the Institute was established. The Atlas Institute promised to cooperate with only those holding special contracts. I'm sure this agreement caused headaches for the generations of directors. Their contracts arbitrarily made by their ancestors, after all. They had recovered four of the contracts by 2000 AD, but the whereabouts of the other 3 remain unknown. Oh, that's a great sound. Oh, sorry to stop so abruptly, but there are more defense mechanisms. I expect you can handle them. Yeah, leave it to us, Holmes. Just want to look ahead and see what this battle consists of. Might as well save my AoE until the end of the fight, or to the end of the section. Cool. Jeez, these guys are their fucking crits. Alright, here we go. I don't really need to use Blessings of Kerr, but I will anyway. Right. I can make this even more ridiculous. There we go. Well, no matter what, that's the end of this. Hey, the next fight's just the same. Did that end it? Oh, nope. Go, so we get Seereshes. Nice. Oh, good, we got both Summer Nito and First Asan in there. I'm gonna level up next arrow. That's nice. Mr. John, having watched 2 of your battles, may I comment on your leadership? Sure. Anyway, Mr. John, to be honest, I'm quite surprised. Your fighting abilities are unbelievable, but they're still only secondary to something else. The root of your strength lies in the style of your contracts. I'm sure there's no precedent in history of a master with connections to so many servants. An even more shocking aspect is the length of time that this has continued. Normally, servants are only summoned temporarily, and only for a particular battle. Perpetual contracts like your own are unthinkable. Yet it doesn't seem like you have any particular secrets, Mr. John. In other words... In other words, what? By the way, Miss Kirillite, it would appear you still don't have full control of your noble phantasm. Why is that? Is it something beyond your means? You changed the subject? Don't just fucking laugh about it, you prick. Yes, I still don't know the true name of the heroic spirit who transferred this power to me. That's not it. The true name isn't a big issue. You've simply erred on which foot to set forth on. But be at ease. You will have the solution soon. Given the information, there's nothing I can't uncover. No, that was rude of me. That sounded like bragging. There are some things that even I don't know. Right now we're fighting with another mystery. The true identity of the King of Mages, the culprit behind the incineration of humanity. I have almost no information about him. Every corner of time has his tracks, but none of these seem to tie to King Solomon. If someone had seen the King of Mages firsthand, I could have asked if there was any resemblance to Solomon. But of course there wouldn't be such a convenient witness. I have no choice but to continue inferring from information. Well, I mean, he did appear before us. I've seen the King of Mages. You were such a vital witness? Then please, tell me everything. What did he look like? His voice, his magical lineage, and most importantly, what are your impressions having directly met him? Any discomfort? Anything out of place? A sense of discomfort would be the most important key. Try to remember, no matter how trivial it may seem. Was there anything strange about the King of Mages? Now that I think about it... Is there something? Something seemed to be missing. Something missing. Missing, you say? For a human who had never seen the King of Mages before to say such a thing, he must have made an oversight, trivial though it may be. An oversight that, though unintentional, was enough to arouse suspicion. Miss Kirillite, I'm sorry, but could you draw a sketch as we walk? I'd like a picture of the King of Mages you saw. Normally you'd be cursed for even making an attempt. But here in Atlas, they likely have perfect measures against outside curses. No harm would come to you. I understand. I'm no artist, but I'll try to draw what we saw. And may I also say something, Mr. Holmes? I didn't sense any sort of discomfort like my master did, but... what the King of Mages said, how he acted, it wasn't consistent. That's what seemed out of place to me. He was sometimes violent, sometimes calm, even totally indifferent towards us at times. The changes all seemed abrupt to me. Tell me in more detail. What kind of conversation did you have with him? I see. Thank you, Miss Kirillite. That was very useful information. Enough to inch a little closer to the true identity of the King of Mages. You're welcome. I'm glad I could help. Guessing from your conversation, the King of Mages is akin to a mirror. A mirror? Correct. A mirror reflects those standing before it. A mirror shows the nature of the person speaking to it. If someone vulgar speaks, he answers just as rudely. While if someone wise speaks, he answers with equal earnestness. He responds to the cruel with cruelty, and to the calm with benevolence. It's not that he lacks his own sense of self, or that he has multiple personality disorder. He's just not confined to one single alignment. No, it's the exact opposite, in fact. That's his nature. I see. Andersen was mean, so... But he said he isn't interested in us. He said life has no value. I don't think anybody who was present thought that way. That's exactly it. That's the part I find frightening, Miss Kirillite. No interest in humans. That is the truth for the King of Mages. As proof, he has already destroyed humanity. He is unlike the Lion King, who seeks to destroy this era. He has already won, which is precisely why he has shown his true form. Of course he would have no interest in us. It's because he has already moved on to his next project. For example, suppose there's a desk here with a project labeled Incineration of Humanity sitting on top of it. He finished that project long ago. Now he's at a different desk ready to start anew. Normally that would be the end. Humanity wouldn't even have the option of fighting against him. However, a miracle occurred. It goes without saying, but that miracle was Chaldea. Although it's simply a minuscule space remaining at the now uninhabited desk, to the King of Mages, incinerating humanity is already a finished project. You're saying that's why he has no interest in us? Yes. To be precise, it's because he's occupied with his next task. What frightens me is the true nature of that next task. Listen well. You can say that this case was the perfect crime. Nobody could prevent that plot from occurring. We were completely defeated, unable to even make a move. A detective works after an incident occurs. After there are already victims. Even if I deduce the truth behind the incident, I don't have the power to undo what has taken place. But you do, Mr. John. You have that power. The King of Mages doesn't believe so, which is your one and only chance to overcome that demon's crime. So it would seem that our only chance to strike back is because Solomon himself just thinks so little of us. Alright, more archers. Aresh. Like I could pick anyone else. Rejoice, everyone. We're nearly at the center. Many answers await us ahead. The old man of the mountain sent you here for 2 reasons. The first relates to this singularity, to gain knowledge about the Lion King's objectives and his sacred lance. The second relates to all 7 singularities. In other words, a part of the mystery behind the incineration of humanity. I'm prepared to answer both of those. However, before that... More enemies. A battle. Of course there'd be one. No, I have a warning. Well, more like a declaration. The greatest reason why I appeared before you is that the peering eyes of Chaldea cannot reach you here. Let me tell you in advance. I do not trust Dr. Roman. Definitely a bold declaration right there. I guess we'll find out his reasoning after the battle. Thankfully, it's just art. I'm actually a little afraid of the next battle though, because that one is a big dragon. I do not like those. But I mean, you know, these are easy enough to fight, so really no problem here. You know, maybe if everything would stop critting me. Thank you. Oh, it's a 1-out-of-1 fight with 7 enemies. I really should take a closer look at this. We're gonna get a lot of C-stars on this one. Oh, come on, really? Alright, let's go. Nice. Nice. Alright, so if I take out one more of these. Perfect. Alright, let's go. That'll do it. Thanks, Arash. I love you. Next one is 3 waves. Whoa. This is the heart of the Alice Institute. We are underground, but there's a sky, Master. This place is the size of a city. I can't believe they were able to build such a vast structure here. This sure looks like an academic institute, alright. They have everything necessary for humans to live their lives. This would help their students keep sound minds, even if the sky was artificial. That obelisk in the corner is the Atlas Institute's greatest... Oh my god. That obelisk in the center is the Atlas Institute's greatest recording medium, a pseudo-spiritron calculation engine dubbed Tri-Hermes. Trismegistus in Chaldea was based off of it. That's... Now that you mention it, it's construction. That's right, it looks just like Chaldea's command room. Although, most of it is buried in sand now. Now then, we've already acquired the access rights. Normally we'd just ask the staff, but... As you can see, this place is completely uninhabited. I feel a little sorry, but we'll just have to use it without their permission. Yes, but I wonder why the staff aren't present. It may be buried in sand, but all the equipment seems to be operating like normal. The answer is obvious. This is Atlas in 2018. In other words, the one from your time period. Atlas from our time? Now that you mention it, Da Vinci said something like that. Something about how in Egyptian territory there's a foreign object from yet another era. It must have been this. I believe so. The mages may have been incinerated, but the Atlas Institute itself didn't vanish. Now, let's get to the main issue. Tri-Hermes contains recordings of all events. Since we aren't alchemists of Atlas, we wouldn't understand everything it contains. But the simple truth, we should be able to understand the results, although it would be looking like a mathematical equation solution. What are you checking? I'm embarrassed to admit it, but it's a record that even I couldn't trace. The recording of a certain event, kept secret from all. Now, Tri-Hermes, soaring bird of the underworld, answer my question. Tell us of a certain incident erased from all records and descriptions. The Holy Grail War that occurred in Japan in 2004. The Holy Grail War? Don't tell me you mean Singularity X. You mean F? Well, the director did talk of a Holy Grail War held in Singularity X, but... Are you saying that's the truth behind the incineration of humanity? The true origin? No, it's not the origin, but it is an important factor. The Holy Grail War. That is a grand ritual where heroic spirits are summoned to fight, in which the last surviving mage and servant standing obtain the Holy Grail. You already know that much, right, Mr. John? Very well. That ritual did indeed take place, in 2004, located in a certain city of Japan. I checked the records of this war, however I couldn't figure out what happened during its course, or how it concluded. The only traceable data was from when the Holy Grail War started, the identities of the 7 mages who sought the Holy Grail. Among those 7 who participated, one of them was related to someone you know. Or to be precise, the daughter of that person. The previous director of Chaldea? That's right. The father of Olga Marie Atmosphere, the late director of Chaldea. As a lord of the Clock Tower, he secretly headed to that regional city of Japan, and participated in that bloody ritual. His name was... An answer already. It's a little sad that it doesn't make sounds while in operation. However, I'm glad to see it backs up my hypothesis. This resolves one of the questions. The winner of the 2004 Holy Grail War in Japan was Marisbury Atmosphere. Hermes recorded that he killed 6 other mages, and obtained the omnipotent wish grounds known as the Holy Grail. He obtained the Holy Grail? And that's before the incineration of humanity? Before the race shift was carried out? Correct. Records indicate Marisbury brought his assistant along to the Holy Grail War, and that having been given special exemption the following year, the assistant was then invited to join the staff of Chaldea. He became the top of the medical division in his early 20s, so special is the word for it. I'd hesitate to call him a normal person, and that someone is Roman. The top of the medical division. Do you mean Romani Archiman? Dr. Roman. He knew the former director before coming to Chaldea? Yes, and it gets stranger. The personal history of the man named Romani Archiman is unknown. I couldn't find anything about him in records from before the Holy Grail War. I might figure it out if I keep using Hermes, but we don't have the time to salvage data about a single person out of billions of personal data files updated yearly. But that's the reason why I don't trust Dr. Roman. There's no mistake that he's human and not a mage, but he's hiding something. Something extraordinarily close to the truth. Can I ask something? I know I shouldn't just butt in because I'm tired of being quiet, but this Marisbury guy obtained the Holy Grail, right? What did he wish for? Who knows? Unfortunately, Hermes doesn't record personal wishes. The only things recorded are results. According to Hermes, Marisbury went on to become a great mage. To the Clock Tower, Chaldea and the Atmosphere family's theories were mostly disregarded. However, that assessment was overturned after repeated successes. The establishment of the heroic spirit summoning system. Experiments that made it possible to not just observe the future, but also use ray shifts to intervene in other time periods. Chaldea was nothing more than an observatory in 2004, but then gained vast amounts of equipment like any other research facility. It's safe to assume that Marisbury wished for fortune. He had no reason to wish for the incineration of humanity. Reading the documents, he comes off as a man of good sense. His desire was ordinary, his envy was ordinary, and his love of happiness was ordinary. That's the type of man he was. In that case, he was either used by a third party, or he stepped into a minefield of destruction without even noticing it himself. A third party? Like Professor Lev? Lev Leneur was appointed to Chaldea at the turn of the century. That coincides with the technology to construct Sheva, the obsolete... Oh my god, why can I not fucking read these things? Lev Leneur was appointed to Chaldea at the turn of the century. That coincides with the time when the technology to construct the observation lens Sheba was provided to Chaldea. Lev Lanier was working under the King of Mages. I have no doubt about that. To be honest, this causes me the biggest headache. Chaldea caught the eye of Lev, and he infiltrated it. In that case, there must have been some issue at Chaldea before the Holy Grail War of 2004. That war was just a way for Marisbury to obtain capital. There's a possibility that it wasn't related to the incineration of humanity. With that in mind, I don't want to say this, but it would mean this about Romani Arkaman. We don't know what he was doing, but he had no connection to the incident. A simple nuisance, a mystery, someone who doesn't really matter at all. That's the conclusion that I can draw. What's that supposed to mean? That's ridiculous. Sounds just like Roman. Yes, that's the Doctor in a nutshell. Personally, I still see him as an important person of interest. You shouldn't tell him anything that you heard here. We can't trust him until his secrets are clear. At the very least, Romani Arkaman knows the conclusion of the Holy Grail War and never told you. Now, that wraps up the facts I wanted to know. Next is your turn. But before that, as I searched through the records of Chaldea, I found an answer for you, Miss Kirillite. I'm sorry if this seems like it's just being tacked on, but do you mind if we speak about it? An answer for me? Oh, do you mean what we talked about on the way here? About the true name of the heroic spirit who transferred their power to me? Exactly. I came to a conclusion already, but I had no clear proof, so I spoke ambiguously. But now I can tell it to you as a fact. Are you prepared to hear this, Miss Kirillite? Wait a minute, that's something for Lady Mash to discover for herself. We shouldn't be the ones... No, I must speak my mind. I'm sure everyone has realized it anyway. Only fools will continue to avert their eyes from the truth. Are you saying that Miss Kirillite is a fool? I say no. No, Sir Bedivere. And besides, what are you so fearful of? That knowing her true name wouldn't change anything? That it wouldn't help her develop her noble phantasm? I declare that as an unnecessary concern. Because... Mash Kirillite's spirit is already complete. Her fears don't depend on whether or not she possesses a noble phantasm. Also, even if her noble phantasm fails to develop, she'll never stop standing up for her beliefs. For the sake of what she believes in, she'll muster her courage and fight to the very end. Apologies. I unashamedly flew into a rage. Anyway, do you mind if I speak openly now? This fate was bestowed upon you. The name of the heroic spirit who saved your life. Master, is this really okay? Of course. Okay, although I wish it was something a little more special. Please tell me, Mr. Holmes, my true name, the real name of the shield. Very well. Then I shall tell you everything, like a true detective would. First off, how did Chaldea stabilize the heroic spirit summons? By being in possession of something that gathers heroic spirits. A seat where many heroes once gathered. A rite of vows called the Round Table. Chaldea processed that relic, using it as a catalyst for the summons, and buried it in the body of a fused being. I am sure you can understand this, Mr. John, that while the weapon she carries looks like a shield, that's not what it actually is. Samash's shield is actually the Round Table, then. That the first servant you contracted with is actually the groundwork for gathering many heroic spirits. I had a feeling. Yes, perhaps something of a pun. Something to applaud the Chaldea engineers for. The core of her holy round shield is the Round Table itself. Now listen well, Miss Kirillite. The second heroic spirit summoned when you were young. The only successful result of Chaldea's heroic spirit fusion experiment. The hero who lamented the inhumane experiments of Chaldea, but stayed in the present world to preserve your life. The one who entrusted everything during the Chaldea bombing incident. That heroic spirit's name was Galahad. One of the Knights of the Round Table, a holy knight who alone succeeded in the search for the Holy Grail. Galahad of the Knights of the Round Table. Mash! Yes, I suddenly felt weak at the knees. I just had to sit down. But it wasn't painful or even surprising. I was just happy. I finally know the name of the person who believed in us and helped us back then. I feel so happy right now. I wonder if I fought well enough to not soil his name. See, it's just as I said. She's that kind of girl. She never forgets gratitude. Why would she hold any pessimism in her heart towards the one who saved her life? Yes, it's exactly as you say. It seems Galahad made the correct decision. They were eons apart. They were a different race. But he truly did entrust this to the person closest to him. Now, Bond level up. Level 4 from Ash. And that's all we get for now. we do get other stuff later, believe you me. And it's quite good stuff, too. Alright, so we have a single rider, which, like I said before, is that fucking big-ass dragon, so I'm gonna bring Jack. Actually, I might as well do this. Ooh, I should have brought some assassins of my own instead of just Jack. Oops. Oh well. Now, Mr. John, I'll leave the actual awakening of the noble phantasm to you. But I fear Hermes is not doing very well. One more search and he'll run out of power. I should reflect on my actions as well. It would seem my plan to search for enchanting or unsolved mysteries has somehow backfired. Mr. Holmes? Foul! Please fear not. It will work, but only one more time. I never miss the truth. The Lion King's sacred lance, Rhongomyniad. You must know why it exists. Needless to say, I have heard of this name as well, but I have never set eyes upon it. Hermes, show us the truth that lies behind it. I see. Senpai, looks like the search is complete. Hermes seems rather useful. Foul! Foul! The lance that the Lion King possesses. How much do you know of it, Sir Bedivere? Very little. The king had a number of holy artifacts aside from the sword. I imagine Rhongomyniad is one of them. Even the Knights of the Round Table were not informed of it. Merlin called it the Tower at the Ends of the World. A pillar of light that stands far west of the Isle of Britain. A tower that stands beyond the horizon, at the edge of the world. A tower? But it's a lance, right? I mean, I understand they're both long and pointy, but... Sanzo. That answer is beyond me, I fear. Mr. Holmes? There are two lances, Miss Sanzo. The first is the massive tower that pierces this world, the lance in its physical form. It is an indication of the lance's strength. It would seem that it indeed exists as a tower, but it cannot be accessed by humans. Most importantly, it exists at the edge of the world. One could never reach the edge, no matter how much they walk. The tower stands at the edge of this world, seeing all of mankind, and protecting it. So you're suggesting it's a powerful magical tower with a great view? And the other is the lance that the Lion King wields. Think of this as the shadow that this tower casts upon the world. A personal weapon that allows the user to use the skills, the authority of the tower. So the tower is the mainframe while the lance is the terminal? A great analogy, Miss Kirillite. The tower will continue to exist at the edge of the world, while the lance is held by the tower's keeper. The only mystery that remains is why the tower is pinned on this planet. There's a theory that our world, the human world, is nothing more than a texture placed upon the surface of this planet. Our understanding as this planet's ruling intelligent life form, the laws of physics as we know it. The texture that results from this understanding is our world, and it is sewn tightly to this planet so as not to be removed. What keeps it in place, my friends, is the phenomenon known as the Tower at the Ends of the World. And this tower is not limited to the Isle of Britain either. There are several around the world, one of which is the sacred lance currently in the Lion King's hands. The Tower at the Ends of the World. Now I understand what it means. The king is trying to use such a dangerous thing to...
It's like a pagoda, a vessel for receiving faith. I get it. But how is that related to the state of the Holy City? What does the Lion King intend to do with it?
Most likely, the Lion King intends to use the lance as the tower. The Lion King intends to create an ideal world of the Holy City by gathering only the chosen ones. Not simply a pure human being, but one that will always do the right thing, no matter what. According to Hermes' calculations, the sacred lance can store up to 500 souls. The Holy City was built over the Holy Land in a single night. It seemed impossible, but not until you understand why. That city is the sacred lance itself. People that were brought to that city have already been sealed inside it. The Lion King claims he is quarantining pure humans, but the truth is that he is not letting them get away. It's an elaborate trap. Impossible! That city is Camelot! The details may be slightly different, but I have no doubt it's Camelot! How could that be turned into such an evil...
No, Mr. Holmes' deduction is correct.
That is not Camelot.
True, the castle of Camelot was created by fairies. It's no wonder if it appeared overnight. But that's not right. I had a really bad feeling from the moment I saw it. That's the outer shell of Rongominiad. It is not something that will save humanity.
Then what will happen to all the people inside the Holy City? They must live lives of captivity while being protected by the king. To live or to die, that is not the issue. All those in the Holy City will be consumed by the lance. The sacred lance is similar to the Atlas Institute. It's a shelter, Sir Bedivere. However, there is no room to exist as a life form. All of them are being herded as virtuous human elements. Eventually, the Holy City will converge and become a single tower. Inside of that tower is a smaller version of Hell. The people have not been gathered in the so-called utopia to live. They are samples. To be stored for all eternity, underneath the Lion King's command, as they're displayed in a case to show the value of mankind. How could this... Whoever's behind such malicious deed can't be human! Lion King's conduct with the good or evil means nothing to me. He's simply protecting his own people. That much is true.
There's a huge mistake. What are you talking about, Toda?
Let me finish. Now listen. So the Holy City has been turned into this tower. Then what will happen next? I believe the tower will disappear along with the Lion King's army. At the very least, the mountain of people in the Lion King will have no reason to fight, because he will fade along with his ideals.
You're right. I suppose that would technically put an end to the conflict. Technically. To protect one's own people, it would seem that even the Lion King wants to do that.
What a relief to hear. I am of the same opinion as Mr. Tota. Until we see Hermes' analysis.
So you're suggesting something else? That there's a deeper meaning to the Lion King's actions?
Correct. The Lion King intends to turn the Holy City into the tower at the ends of the world. Surely you know what that means. When the tower is complete, the entire area will become the ends of the world. In exchange for creating the complete world known as the tower, the world outside of it must be destroyed. The Lion King is not simply trying to protect his own people. He's going to eliminate all other people aside from his own. And that destruction has already begun. The reason this singularity has been an exception within an exception is because it exists nowhere in this world.
I see. The reason there's nothing on the other side of the desert is because the era has already been completely separated from human history.
Yes, Miss Sanso. The King of Mages is no longer the one who's trying to destroy this era, nor the one that created it. The Lion King is willing to sacrifice one of the foundations of humanity to create his own utopia. Only gods may do that. Let us return to the surface, everyone. We are racing against time. We need to invade the Holy City before the Sacred Lance is complete, There we need to confirm the Lion King's intent.
I agree with Bedivere. It makes sense why the mighty skeleton guy told us to come here. We should rendezvous with them as soon as we can. They need to know this. Why didn't the mighty skeleton guy just tell us the truth? Wouldn't that be faster?
Because John needed to come here, or perhaps the desert itself, if not this institute. No amount of strength will alter the importance of the people you meet. This old man of the mountain still has a few tricks up his sleeve. John has a mission to accomplish here. Could that be his true intention? Why do you laugh at me, detective?
Pardon me, was I laughing? If that is the case, then what you are saying is quite amusing. Enough to melt this cold, hard expression of mine.
Why is it amusing?
Wait, we have to deal with this on the way back too? But of course. And this time the opponent is stronger than any others we've faced. The Atlas Institute does not want people to leave. I thought I've explained this to you? This is the final battle in this underground lost world. Let's make it count.
I suppose we have to. Oh no. Well, at the very least, we're getting close to the end of Camelot. I feel like the next couple of sections might be a bit difficult for me. Because we're going to have to fight Start and Ozymandias and Nito. Then we have Alter Egos, so that shouldn't be too bad. Probably. Alright, well, let's just get started with this, huh? Alright, so let's... I might as well go with a quick chain from Karna. Get some sea stars. 7. Ooh, and a gold drop. Not bad, Karna. Alright, so we have a lot of sea stars going into this next phase. I wanted to. So let's do this. Alright, this actually works pretty well for me. I can use Lily's NP on the next turn. Take out one of them. Just attack Karna, damn it. Oh well. Another gold drop? Fuck! Alright, so Karna can unleash his NP next turn. So provided he doesn't fucking die.
Alright. Now the one I'm not looking forward to. The dragon. Alright, so Waver's probably going to die real fast against this guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out Jolter Lily for Jack. I'm going to use my buffs. Give Jack that. There we fucking go. That was well worth it. Alright, Waver lived. Oh, but he doesn't have enough for his... I'll do this because I'm a fucking loser. Alright, here's what we'll do. We'll unreturning formation. Jack Bolt Blast for NP gauge. Then we'll hit him with a Maria the Ripper next turn. Oh, we actually stunned him too, so that's good. Oh no, we didn't. Crit. And Dragon Spirit. Alright, let's see if I can actually get Salieri to do this. Thank you, Salieri. And yeah, let's just do this. That should be fine. No matter what, this thing's fucking dead now. Yup. That'll do it. Hey, level 4 for our good old man. What's next? 6.2 million? No problem. Man, 2 gears. It's a pretty good drop.
Senpai, I see a light at the end of the corridor. That must be sunlight.
The return trip was much quicker. Suppose we owe this to you, Mr. Holmes. Elementary, my friends. You must not rely on only your visual senses when inside a maze. You construct a 3-dimensional map inside your mind as you proceed. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. I'm glad to be of service to you in the end. And on that note, I must bid you farewell.
So Chaldea cannot be trusted after all?
True, there is much mystery surrounding Chaldea, but there are others I must chase right now. Namely, the phantom spirit who... No, I must not discuss this here. If you'll excuse me, Mr. John. How about a little riddle as a parting gift? The simplest of puzzles about the incineration of humanity. I've been thinking, why 2018? Why now of all times? Huh? None of you questioned it? The King of Mages erased human history itself. So going by the Western calendar, that means the world should have ended before you were even born. However, he went with purging everything in 2018. He altered the history leading up to now. Think. Incineration in 2018 and burning backwards into history. Why is that? There is only one logical conclusion. The King of Mages had a reason why he needed to wait until 2018. Let's suppose he exists in 1000 BC. Between 1000 BC and 2018 AD, there are approximately 3000 years. He needed to burn all of it. Do you follow?
The King of Mages did not destroy it because he wanted to. He burned it because he needed to. The results may be the same, but we cannot overlook this tiny detail. Now that you mention it... Exactly. How can one bear murderous intent if they do not care at all? However, this is where the inquiry becomes a little tricky. Needless to say, the reason is still a complete mystery. One theory is what I've mentioned earlier, that the time frame from the past up until 2018 has meaning. The other is that even King Solomon could not see past the year 2018. King Solomon had the ability to see into the future, and if for some reason even he could not see past 2018, then... Because the King of Mages is going to destroy the world? Yes, that is the easiest answer. I pray it turns out to be true. Now then, I must part ways here. The next time we meet... Yes. I hope it'll be in a bustling metropolitan city like London, not in these wastelands. Well, it won't be London, but... Hope you like Japan, man! Yeah, we'll be seeing Holmes a lot later. Especially in part 2. Alright, so in the next episode, guys, we're going to proceed on to Section 15, the God King Ozymandias. I'll see you guys then. Bye!